You are joining us for the annual Trakker Social. We fished a French lake with some huge carp in it. We couldn't wait to get the rods out and catch a few, but the carp were being far from easy. We had to try a number of different tactics to outsmart them in a week that saw big fluctuations in the weather: high pressure, low pressure, wind, rain and some sun. However, we did manage to catch a few for the camera in the end. Come and join us for an autumnal week in the beautiful French countryside.
Hello fish fans and welcome to the Trakker Social. Last year you found us at Lake Goslowick in Poland. Well, this year you find us at Lesmont in France. We've moved over to France and we've come to this fantastic venue. It's an old gravel pit. It's about 12 acres in size and there's 5 of us fishing. We've all got our own ideas of how to fish this lake. It can be a little bit technical. We're going to run through those things obviously through this programme, and hopefully we're going to add to that some stunning fish, because there is some fantastic fish in here, and not only that, there is some absolutely enormous fish, and to get one of those on the bank would be the icing on the cake.
We're finally here, Champagne-Ardenne region, and as you can see in all its glory, autumnal colours. It's the middle of October and actually the weather's going to change dramatically this week. So at the start of the week we're going to have low pressure, some rain, and then after that it'll go to weather typical of this region. It's going to go high pressure, blazing sunshine, warm temperatures, and that's definitely going to affect how we're all going to fish during this week.
Saturday's draw day. We went round to the Bailiff's Lodge. We did the draw in anticipation. Everyone's sort of thinking, what am I going to get? They've all got the swims in mind. A few of the guys have obviously fished the lake before, myself included. So we all had swims in his mind where we wanted to be. So everyone pulled the balls out of the bag. Adam got 9 and 10, he's at the top end. Then moving down the lake, you've got Matt, who was in 6. Then you've got John, who's in 4. Now the wind has been hacking into that corner, and the bailiff tells me it's been absolutely black in there all week. So, you know, no pressure on John, but there's a lot of fish in there. Moving round, you've got me in 3, quite a bit of open water. And then next door to me, you've got Bones, he's in 2, fishing to the main snag. There's a lot of fish in there. We saw one of the big fish earlier on. The bailiff tells us there's a fish in here that can go 90 pounds. That would be awesome if we could get that on camera this week, but yeah, you never know.
Well, how about that for a way to kickstart a session with the boys? Just under 42 pounds of epic Lesmont common carp. Caught on my right hand rod, just decided to lay a couple of quick traps last night and the right hander was a lovely marginal shelf. Goes from 18s up to about 11 foot. There's a big overhanging canopy snag there. So I just dropped it the left hand side of that, like a little tunnel if you like, a place they can lead up that marginal shelf and come to my little trapper bait. And waiting for it was a tiny little 12mm mainline pop up, some chops, a little bit of crumb of the ever faithful cell, and it couldn't resist it. I think it's had the lot, plus my little pop up, giving me one hell of a scrap. And hopefully it's the first of lots of carp to come for myself and the boys.
Join me at a very damp Lesmont on Sunday afternoon. It's about 1 o'clock now. No action for me yet, unfortunately, even though I've drawn the flyer, according to Adam Reed. Arrived yesterday afternoon and didn't get the rods out until quite late. It was actually after dark, which when you're boating over to a tree line is a little bit tricky. I wasn't overly happy with the bait placement, but I've redone the rod this morning. I'm a lot happier with it now. The weather during the night was pretty atrocious, to be honest. It was very wet, a lot of really heavy rain, a few thunderstorms kicking about this morning, little bit of a lull, and then yeah, it started raining again quite heavily now, which is I think set in for the day. So I'm happy with the rods that I've got out at the moment. I saw a few fish last night and this morning just to my left, close in, and there was a lot of fish showing last night up between Bonesy and Adam. I think a few of them drifted down this way, so I sent the boat out earlier, had a look roughly where they were, and there's an absolutely stunning drop off there. It goes from 12 foot down to 18 foot really quickly. So it's a classic patrol route. So I think that's going to get some investigation later on. The original plan was one rod on the tree line and then just have a bit of a play about with maybe one or two others, but probably just one, to be honest. However, as we were talking earlier, there was some bubbling right in the corner, which was definitely carp. So I grabbed the rod, wrapped it up in a bit of paste and just fired it over there with a few scattering of boilies around the top. Just leave it there for a couple of hours, see what happens.
A change of tactics for me today. The fish are a bit out of my water, but they're showing like mad. I'm pretty sure they're up in the water, so at the minute I'm just trying 2 zigs out. But for later on in the evening, when the fish sort of drop down, I've been knocking up a solid bag mix. Mixes consisting of mainline's essential cell and mainline cell mixed up into a crumb, so I can get it inside the solid bag, so it makes a nice compact bag. And then later on I'm going to inject some liquids into that bag just to make it really attractive and try and pull the fish down. I've got 18 foot of water in front of me. So the fish, being quite active, I'm pretty sure they're up in the air, up in the water. But yeah, later on tonight, I'm pretty sure, the solid bag tactics are hopefully going to do me a bite. That's my next port of call. I'm going to stick out with the zigs for the rest of today, see what happens. If no action on that, then yeah, solid bags tonight. Hopefully, we'll have a nice 50-pounder for you in the morning.
So it's just getting dark on the first day. It's not been a bad day. I lost a fish last night and Adam's landed one this morning, but it's been quite quiet all day. We've had a lot of rain today. Everybody's been in and out with the boats and things, just having a look around. I think everybody's found their spots now. So hopefully tonight will be the night where it'll kick off, and hopefully we'll have a few more fish to show you in the morning.
Nice. Sunday evening, sat here minding my own business in the rain. Seen no fish out there at all this afternoon. Just on dark, sat with JJ chilling, and yeah, the margin rod, the tree line rod, absolutely. Well, it didn't rip off because we're fishing locked up, but it hooked over and we were in. Had a real tussle keeping her out of the snag at the start, but just kept the rod low and kept the pressure well on, and just walked her back up the bank away from the tree. Kept the rod high because we've got a lot of concrete structure out in the middle that you've got to get them over as well, so kept the rod really high up, got her up on the surface. The drop off in line that I'm using really helped with that because the lead had gone, and after a powerful but fairly short fight. Once she got in the edge, in the net she went. I didn't think it was that big at first, to be honest. It looked like a 30, but yeah, it's gone 41 pounds of stunning champagne mirror, so absolutely made up with that, off the mark, and hopefully the first of many to come as well, so we'll see what happens. Mwah.
That little cove on the far margin there produced fish number 2, and that is one hell of a start. 2 40-pounders, this one a little bit bigger, just under 43 this one, and really is a face only a mother could love, but very welcome and a wicked little character.
Monday morning, almost time to nip round for a shower, to be honest. I kind of set 10 o'clock as a cut-off time for redoing the rods, and the weather's changed dramatically. Obviously the rain cleared up last night late on, which was a bonus, and the wind started pushing down into this corner. Now, about half an hour ago, I saw 2 show probably within 10 yards of the upbait, and I just thought I've got to give it a bit longer, and I'm glad I did, because the rod hooked over, bobbin smacked the rod, and yeah, we're away with this absolutely stunning mirror. Incredibly long fish, and 1 ounce shy of the magic 50, 49 pound 15 ounces. I tried, but I couldn't get it over the 50 mark. There she goes. Carp number 2. So for this week at Lesmont, I'm in swim 4. Now it's quite a compact little swim this, but what it does have to its advantage is a really nice snaggy tree line bang opposite. Now snags are great, carp absolutely love them, but they do bring their own set of challenges when it comes to fishing them and being able to get the fish obviously out of them once they're hooked. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to run through my top tips for getting the best out of snag fishing. Step 1. Assess the area you're fishing. Can you land any fish that you hook from that particular snag? If not, maybe drop a little bit further back to give yourself more chance of getting that fish out of there. Step 2, always choose the strongest kit available. Snag fishing is incredibly demanding. 15 pound mainline, absolute minimum, and a good, strong through action rod capable of pulling those fish away from the snags. This week I'm using the Propels in 13 foot 3.5s, which are absolutely perfect for the job. Step 3, takes when you're snag fishing can be incredibly violent. So how do we stop them getting in there in the first place? Number 1, fish with a really tight line and a locked down clutch. It's really important that fish cannot take any line at all from a starting position. Number 2, fish with your rod in an upwards attitude, and what that does is, when used in conjunction with a snag ear, I'm using the Signet ones this week, is it stops the rod bouncing out of your alarm or lifting up at all, so it stays exactly where it needs to be. Next thing, fish with your butt ring behind the alarm at all times. That stops any forward movement of your rod. It's just extra security.
And last but not least, use a really good quality butt rest that's going to really grip the butt of your rod. Again, the Signet butt grabbers are absolutely perfect for the job. Step 4, critically important when you're snag fishing. You need to know if a fish has gone away from you or tried to get in a snag or come towards you. Now, for that reason, I use a heavy bobbin, which is in this case the Signet long range PTFE head. Now that weighs 20 grams. Fish comes towards you, that'll drop back. And if you use it in conjunction with a line clip, then that will give you just enough upward movement to know when you've got to take. Step 5, might sound obvious, but stay close to your rods at all times. Speed is everything when you're snag fishing, and if you're 5, 10, 15 yards away off your rods, the chances are it's already in there before you've even got there. So stay close. As soon as anything moves, dive on it. Step 6, if you are lucky enough to hook a fish, don't try and crank it out of the snag as soon as you pick the rod up. Pick the rod up, brace the butt with your left hand or your right hand if you're left-handed, and walk backwards away from the snag. Lead it away from the area that it's already in. That is the most effective way of getting it away quickly and calmly. Step 7, rigs. Very, very simple. They just need to be strong and effective. The way I normally fish snags is with a heavy drop-off inline system. So as soon as a fish picks a bait up, the lead falls off. Again, that helps with getting it up in the water and away from the area that you're fishing. A big, strong hook is also absolutely paramount. Small, thin wire hooks will just open as you're trying to pull the fish away from the snag, so make sure that your gear's up to it. Step 8, have a clear idea of what you're going to do when you hook a fish. It's no good picking the rod up, running backwards and finding out that you've left all kind of bags and stuff behind that you're going to fall over. Clear path and know what you're going to do when you hook one. Step 9, find some snags, catch some carp.
I moved back real quick, got it out the snag, and then it's slowly come in and it's gone left, which is good because it's gone over the other side of my rods. So now we just got to see if it stays on. My first Lesmont carp, £29, 15 ounces, 1 ounce under 30. It wasn't quite there, but still, what a fantastic fish, fantastic fight. Managed to get it straight out the snag that I'm fishing to. Came out into open water, put up a bit of bullion in the edge. But there we go. Lift you out of the old sanctuary corral. See you later, baby. Off you go. Go on then. There you go. Happy as Larry. Yay! Good evening, fish fans. Welcome to the third night here in Peg 2. Finally landed my first fish today. A couple of things I've changed in my swim. I've moved my snag rod much further up my swim, close to my bivvy. Just means that I can get to it a lot quicker when fishing locked up. I can walk back with the rod and hopefully tease that fish out the snag, which is exactly what I did with the fish this afternoon that you saw. Hoping for another fish through the night. We'll have to wait and see. The pressure's risen a little bit and it's gone flat calm here. It's lovely conditions. Last night it rained so hard. It rained all day yesterday. I was so pleased to be in a bivvy with a wrap and an inner capsule because it was so cosy in there for the whole day yesterday and through the night. No condensation, no nothing. It was fantastic. Hoping for another fish, as we always are, but only the time will tell. So hopefully you'll be back with me in a bit and there'll be another banger on the bank.
way to wake up.
She's bigger than I thought. So there we go. My second carp from Lesmont. 42 pound 2 ounce common from the same rod that I had the fish on yesterday. Put up a great fight. I'm absolutely buzzing this morning. It's gone off just at first light. See the mist behind us. Happy days. Oh, it's making me ache. Go on, baby. Yeah, boy. Happy with that to get into a decent fish. It's just hope there's a few more to come for everybody, I suppose. That's what the social's all about.
Well, my first Lesmont fish, 41.2. Absolutely elated with this fish because early on, in the early hours, I lost what can only be described as probably the biggest fish I've ever hooked. Saw it 10 yards out, did me in a snag. I'm guessing easily over 60, but this is more than welcome after losing that absolute unit. Taken on a solid bag to showing fish last night, and this absolutely ripped off at first light this morning, so I am well chuffed with this. Off the mark, massive weight lifted off my shoulders. Yeah, 41.2 of prime Lesmont common. Yes. Ooh, she's a heavy old girl. Let's get her back.
This is insane. What a fish. What an absolute beast. Just fishing one rod at the moment because basically the swim I'm in for, it's only quite small in terms of area, and the tree line opposite, that's where they live, but yeah, just got the one rod out at the moment so not to overcrowd the swim. Just sat having a coffee with my friend Pedro, and we were watching the fish coming from the main lake, which is where they were all last night, and they were just slowly creeping over to where the tree line was. If I'm honest, I thought bite time had maybe gone because they've been coming in between 9 and 10 in the morning. But 1:45, rod hooped over, I was straight on it because I was fishing tight to the snag, and a bit of pressure just guided her back to where she needed to be. Not only is it wide, but it's a bit like me, it's got the belly to match as well. So it's incredible mirror, 56 pounds, 11 ounces, which is the biggest fish of the trip so far. And yeah, absolutely made up with this one. Awesome fish. Thank you very much for picking up my bait. Well, thank you very much. Yes.
Well, good evening, and what a stunning evening it is. We're approaching the fourth night now, and unfortunately no action for me last night or today. So I've made some changes. I was persevering with the Zigs, trying all the different depths I could, but I wasn't able to get a bite. So in come the Zigs and out go the bottom baits. Now I'm fishing an open water spot in 20 foot because Sam last night down the other end managed to get a bite in that depth. So I'm confident now by putting them out tonight, I'll have a chance of a bite. Weather change tomorrow. It's going to be nice and bright and particularly warm for this time of year. So the little stalking spot down the end that I've been pre-baiting, hopefully tomorrow, if they're in those snags, we'll get a little chance to go and try and stalk one out. So let's see what tonight brings. Hopefully I can hold up a carp tomorrow morning, but if not, we'll try and winkle one out that bay tomorrow. Good afternoon. You join me the opposite side of the lake, and I've snuck round here because I'm going to try and bait up a little bit from the bank. No action again for me last night, so I'm trying to be a little bit more precise. I'm just going to have a look, see if there's anything mooching around in these snags, but I'm just going to put a little bit of bait in. Well, we've just got round to my second spot. I thought I'd have a quick peer with the glasses first. It's so important to have these Polaroids on because no more than 6 inches from the bank and there is a really big common, no more than a metre away from where my hook bait's been the last 3 nights. Obviously it's done me a couple of fish and hopefully he's going to be the next victim. I'm just going to wait for him to move away slowly and then I'm going to put a little bit more bait in, and then I've just prepared a little stick with some reflective tape because I want to try and get a little bit closer to the snag. It's quite difficult where I've been using a bait boat for this particular rod because the overhang is so much. It's hard to know exactly where you are because I can't come around because I'm on my own, so I've got nobody with the rod, so I'm having to do it before I get the rod out. So I'm going to put this pole in and it'll enable me to get that little bit closer and literally bang on in the perfect position. So yeah, I'm going to sneak down, see if that common disappears, get some bait in, get that stick in. Hopefully we can get it a little bit more exact tonight. Well, just getting the right rod out now, and I suppose this is a good little chance to show that you've just got to keep changing things up. You know, obviously I've had a couple of fish early from this spot that I'm putting this rod out now, but I'm changing it ever so slightly. Just been round, repositioned a marker pole, some reflective tape, so that I'm able to see it from here, and I can just make it out, but more importantly I'll be able to make it out perfect in the dark. And I'm just going to get a little bit closer to the snag. I've obviously had 2 bites off of the snag, which is great, but the action has dried up now, so I've been round, had a look. It's safe for me to do this. All the snag is on the surface, so I'm just going to try and edge a little bit closer to it, because there was a nice fish sat in there. So they're obviously using it as a place to bask. Well, we've got a little bit of sunshine, albeit not the sunshine that was promised. But you've got to keep reacting. I've tried everything. You know, I've been on the Zigs, I've been up and down with the different depths, and really this isn't a last resort. It's just a case of keep mixing it up, keep trying, keep moving the spot ever so slightly, because sometimes it can be the difference between a couple of feet with you getting a bite and not. Getting close to it now. I think this is just give me a little bit more of a chance of a bite in the day as well, because they seem to be sitting in the main chunk of the snag. Just edging there now, I'm just having a look. I'm still in 12 feet of water there, so it's come up, because it's about 18 foot in the middle, into 11s now, 8s. I'm going to stop there. That looks about perfect, I think. Just going to try and nick a little bit more. No, that'll do, that's lovely. Perfect. Drop that. That's dropped. Spin the boat round. Drive it out so I don't lose it. That's it. Get the rod in position, and hopefully we can get fish number 3 on the bank.
So here we have it, parachute bag. It's quite old-fashioned and not used a great deal. However, for me, it's my go-to method when using a bait boat. It's very simple. I've got a long, non-perforated PVA bag. I simply put a few pellets in the bottom, drop my rig in, then a few more pellets. I've got some extra oily pellets around here just to draw the fish down. When you drop it from the boat, this comes down to your lead attachment and sits bolt upright in the water. What happens is then the air makes its way up to the top of the bag, and eventually the top of the bag will just start to split, and as the air comes out, the bag comes down very, very slowly and lays on top of whatever debris is on the bottom. So for me, go-to with a bait boat is definitely the old-fashioned parachute bag.
So viewers, today we're going to sit down, we're going to do a nice interview. And me and JJ are going to sit and drink some nice German wheat beer. That's the plan, and that's what we're sticking to. So here we are, Wednesday evening, midweek update from Swim 4. It's been pretty quiet today, to be honest. After the excitement of yesterday and the fish that came out, today's been a bit of an anticlimax. I think we all thought that we might do a few more bites today, but it hasn't been the case. Down here where I am, it's pretty tight. As I think I've mentioned before, I've actually gone down to just using one rod now. All my bites have come off the spot on the tree line, so I've dispensed with the other rod. That's now in the hold all, and I'm just concentrating on that one spot. The reason behind that is just to keep as many lines out of the water as possible and hopefully get the fish drifting in here. Which I think's happened today, but the weather has meant that they haven't really fed anywhere on the lake at all. The fish that we have seen have been high in the water, right back in the snags, and they've just been sunning themselves. It's been a lovely, lovely warm day today, and we've just done basically the same as the fish. We've had a real good chill out. It's been that hot. I've been in the bivvy having a sleep, all 4 vents rolled up, just getting some nice air coming through. Keeping nice and chilled. But it's evening now, the clouds have come in, and it's looking really good for a bite. So the rods are back out, everything's set, and let's see what tonight brings.
So here we are, 11 o'clock Wednesday evening. First nighttime bite of the trip for me. I just got in bed, just drifting off, and yeah, the rod kicked over and we were in again. 40 pound, 4 ounce common. Really pleased with this one. Again, first common of the trip as well. So we'll get her back, get that rod back out. This fish crashing under the snag still, so we'll see if we can winkle another one out. Top. Let's get another one.
Beautiful colours.
There we go, my third carp from Lesmont. Certainly not the biggest fish in here, but 23.12 and very welcome after what's been a really tough couple of days here. The sun just came up and just shone onto the snag where I'm fishing, and I was chatting to Julian and said, I reckon the snag will do a bite with that sun on there, and sure enough, about 20 minutes later it rattled off with this absolute little beauty. Happy days, back in the game.
Well, how about that for a lovely piece of Lesmont gold? Seems like it's taken an age to get another bite, but a couple of changes that we did yesterday, moving it a little bit closer to that snag and changing the rig ever so slightly to a fluoro D rig rather than the supple rigs, seems to have done the job. And this lovely common's just paid me a visit. And with that sun up quite high today, I'm going to get that rod straight back in the snag and see if I can snare its bigger brother. Well, how about that for a chunky Lesmont warrior? Bite number 2 of the day, and that drop-off inline system and the little stiff rig is doing the business. I'm just well pleased with this one, and hopefully it's going to be the first of many, because that new spot seems to be rocking. That's 2 fish in pretty quick succession, and they're getting bigger. This one's over 43 pounds. What a lovely carp.
Right, now coming into the second to last night. Today has been a very, very sunny day, probably the warmest day since we've been here, to be fair. I've tried adjustable zigs all day, different depths, different colours. As you can see, I've got a bit of white on here, to no avail, unfortunately. The fish have definitely been up in the water. Adam's had a couple of fish from the snags today, and I think that's where they've been, just soaking up the sun. So tonight, a change of tactics. I'm pretty sure the cooler nights, how the temperatures are sort of dropping quite a lot at night, the fish are getting on the deck. So yeah, it's time to get the rods back out on the bottom, and yeah, let's see what the night brings.
Close, very close.
So here we are, Friday afternoon. Really is absolute last knockings now. We're entering the final 12 hours of the session, and luckily enough for me, this one's picked the bait up. £49 1 ounce mirror, absolutely incredible fish, real chunky weapon this one. I redid the rod about 2 hours ago out to the snag. It was lunchtime and nothing had happened. I was just concerned that I really should have had a bite, so I fetched it in, I've topped it back up, sent it back out, and yeah, 2 o'clock, this one's gone off. Very, very welcome. Everyone's scrabbling around looking for that last fish or two, and yeah, thankfully we've had this one. So need to get that rod back out. Sun's still out, even though it's clouded over a little bit. There's still plenty of time for another bite off that snag rod, so let's get this one back and get back out there.
So I'd just like to talk a bit about the rig that's been doing the damage for me this week. As you know, I've been fishing one rod across to a snag in this small bay that I'm here in Swim 4. Now, there's 2 things that have led me to the rig that I've actually used. Now, one is the size of the carp that are in Lesmont. They're very, very big fish with big mouths. And for that reason, I've used a big, strong, heavy gauge hook, which is a size 1. Now, I like quite a small hook bait, and what I've used this week is a 10mm pop-up, which balances that hook perfectly. It might sound like a little bit of a small bait for such a big size hook in the first place, but because it drops like a wafter, it actually sits on the bottom and the pop-up masks virtually all of the hook from the top as you look at it. So I've no issues whatsoever with the Carp, being able to suss out that it's anything dangerous. 2, I've used a reasonably long, very strong hook link. Again, because the fish in here are big, I like a longish hook link when I'm fishing for big fish. We've sent it out to the bush, dropped it off. What I've been putting in the bait boat is a couple of kilos of boilies and about 1 kilo of corn every drop, and that's just sat nicely around the rig, ready to trap any fish that are going to come through.
Absolute last chance saloon for me last night. Just messing around now with changing a couple of things. I don't think I've fished badly. I'm really happy with the spots that I've been fishing. I've stuck to my guns, but at the depth I've decided to just make a quick rig change. Rather than the blatant Ronnie rig, I'm going to go in a little solid bag with a little wafter on top. Just see if that makes the difference. It's actually Julian's fault, who's filming this. He's done my head in saying the rig might not be right or might be too blatant, so I'll get this out and see if I can bag a last evening whacker. Yes! It's a big comment.
What a way to finish an amazing week with my friends. Absolute chunk. And there's only one thing left to say. Go on, Lesmont! Hey! Hey. Happy. Come back, good skill. Happy days, boys. Just gonna go downstairs.